Hello everyone, and welcome to warm and sunny Muskoka today. This is week 1 in our new series, which is a 4-week series, and it is the 4 weeks of Knitmas. So what I'm going to do over the 4 weeks, every Friday at 3 p.m., if you feel like checking in to see what's going on and get some fresh inspiration, is feature a part of our in-store sample collection of winter accessories, and these will be items that you can knit very quickly because we all know the holidays are approaching, and they're items that you can knit with 1 to 2 skeins of yarn. So I'll go through the items, I'll try each one on so you can see how it looks and show you some of the color options and describe a little bit about the construction so you know if it's a project that's suitable to your skill level. So if you have any questions or comments, feel free to chime in the comment section. I don't have my wonderful helper Sandy with me today. She might be back next week, but I will try to look at the comments at the same time, or I can answer the questions after. Okay, so I have put together 12 of our favorite hats. These are all knitted. Unfortunately, we don't have much in the way of crochet this year, but yes, okay. And some are children's and some come in adult and children's sizes. So the first hat is the Yaya Hat, this one here. It has a very pretty gradient effect from the yarn. It's a wool blend, quite plush. I wouldn't say that it is scratchy at all. It's quite soft, and the homemade pom-pom on top. The construction of this hat is from the bottom up. It is knit on round needles, and then you're switching to double point needles to shape the crown. It's a 9mm circular needle required, and it is, I think it's a one size fits most adults. There's lots of stretch to it. And the fun thing about knitting this particular pattern stitch is that it's a diagonal rib. That means there's really no beginning and no end. You're working in a multiple of 6 stitches, 4 knits and 2 purls. And you just keep repeating that sequence for the whole hat. So it creates a nice spiral around the hat, and it does not show the beginning of a round. Sometimes you can see when we've knit a hat in the round, there's a little bit of a jog at the beginning of the round. This one, no, it looks completely seamless, and it's very simple. I would say this is beginner level. If you have knit something in the round before, then this would be perfectly suited to your skill level. So the colors that we have in at the moment are the original color, which is pale lavender, blues, pinks, and lime green. Very, very subdued. And then we have a medium tone, which has purple, blue, green, probably 3 shades of green in there, and a mix of a black, a charcoal black, to accent the pretty colors. And then the third color, autumn tones. This one has a medium rose, olive greens, orange into gold, a medium purple, and accent with the black tones. So there are 3 colors, and again, it's just a 1-ball project, under $20. I knit the hat up in 1 night, and I would say anybody can knit it in 1 to 2 nights. So it fits like a little beanie. And of course, all the attention will be on the pom-pom at the top. So that is number 1. I'm going to go through the pile one by one. And number 2, this is our little tiny powder puff. Powder puff hat for children. So this one you can knit in a variety of sizes, 6-month, 12-month, or 24-month. The cable can be worn at the front of the head, or I like it sort of off to the side. It just looks a little more artistic. So this one is knit with a 6mm circular needle, a 24-inch or a 16-inch round, depending what size you're doing for the child's head. And then of course you do need the matching double point needles to shape the top. This would be a good first level cable pattern for anybody who wants to try just a very simple cable and working in the round so they don't have to go back and forth and sew up the seam after. So this particular size is the 6-month, and all 3 sizes require 1 ball each, 100 gram, and it is machine washable. So we've got all the colors over here in the basket, plus many more coming in next week. Just a ball of machine washable chunky yarn, very soft wool blend, no itch factor, and easy for the mom to wash and air dry. We always try to tell non-knitters, if they receive a gift from knitters, to please only use the dryer on air. Don't use the dryer with the heat setting, because what that does, it damages the fibers, and it does make your knitted item go very limp, and then it will never bounce back to shape. So that is the Powder Puff Hat. I can't try it on, it's a little bit too small. And then we have a real classic. This is the Silver Bridge collection Slouch Hat. It was one of my designs from I think about 3 years ago, and I was inspired by our beautiful iconic Silver Bridge, the gateway to Bracebridge, and then I came up with a whole series of accessories that you can knit that sort of incorporate the lines from the bridge. So the Slouch Hat is suitable for men or women, and it also comes in children's sizes, and it is knit also in the round in a twisted rib. So I'll show you how that one looks. We've sewn on one of our little labels. It says Knitworthy. These were the original ones made out of leather. We do have the fabric ones now, black with white trim, that say Knitworthy, Unique, or Made in Muskoka. So generally we like the tag at the side of the head. And as a slouch hat, it should have a little bit of height. You don't want it to be tight across the crown. Just a more relaxed look, and that's giving it a modern vibe. So this is again the machine washable chunky yarn. It's very elastic, so you can see it accommodates any head size. So adult size, 1 skein, or child size, 1 skein of the 100 gram chunky machine washable wool blend yarn. So we have it in grays. There are some beautiful salt and pepper colors coming in next week. We'll have bright red again. If you're thinking of a nice Christmas picture with the family, they could all have bright red hats or matching in the Silver Bridge color. And then the next hat in the same series, the Silver Bridge collection, is called the Pom-Pom Hat, and it also comes in children and adult sizes. And I forgot to mention that the Silver Bridge collection patterns are available on Ravelry or in store. This is the cover of the Pom-Pom Hat pattern. So this one is knit again bottom up in the round, and it incorporates the twisted rib as the Slouch Hat does, but it also has bands of reverse stocking stitch and stocking stitch, and that breaks up the lines and creates some visual interest, and it also creates that really nice stretchy fit that we love, and again a homemade pom-pom. So this one is knit on a 5.5 millimeter circular, and again, depending if you're doing child size, you would need a 16-inch cord, or if you're doing the adult size, you can work with the 24-inch cord, and then you will be transitioning naturally over to the double point. Generally, a knitting pattern doesn't tell you when to change to the double point. They just leave it up to your discretion, and you would just change when your stitches feel too tight on the circular, and that's usually the first or the second decrease round in the shaping section. The other thing that we're finding, we have a few customers who say, oh, I can't knit a hat for an adult on a 24-inch circular. That sometimes is because their cast on is too tight and it doesn't allow for the stitches to stretch for the first couple of rounds. In that case, you could try Magic Loop just for the first few rounds. Magic Loop is a popular technique, a newer technique for working with circular needles, so that you can use a longer cord, but you can adjust it to a shorter circumference to work on less stitches. So if you have time and you're interested in Magic Loop, you can check that out. Very Pink Knits on YouTube has some great tutorials on it. Unfortunately, I haven't done a video on it yet, so I can't direct you to any of mine. So next up we have the Cranberry Slouch Hat. Oh, I didn't try this one on, okay. I'm going to have a really messy head of hair after 12 hats. So this one fits close to the crown, and it covers the ears. There's no turn back cuff on it. You could knit a longer cuff if you wanted to, twice the length of the pattern request, and then you can fold it up if you want a little more coverage over the ears, or if you want to make it longer and slouchier on top. There's always ways to personalize your hat patterns. So the next pattern is our Cranberry Slouch Hat, and it is knit in a beautiful worsted weight merino. Can anyone guess which merino it is? Oh, hi Janie, thank you. Yes, I am wearing a hand knit sweater today, or vest. I like my sweaters without sleeves. If you guessed Malabrigo Rios, you would be correct. So Malabrigo Rios is one of the most popular yarns worldwide, and if you've knit with it, you will know why it is so popular. So this one we intend for the pattern panel to be off center, so a little bit to the side to show off the pretty bauble work. It is intermediate level. There are quite a few cable, cross type stitches, and baubles. So baubles generally are just like doing an increase where you're working into one stitch a few times, churning, working back and forth on the new stitches to create a little nub or a bump in the fabric. The rest of the hat is just done in stocking stitch, and it is worked in the round, and it has a nice tight twisted ribbing which really holds well, so if you get caught in a windstorm like we had last week, your hat won't blow off your head. So this is the Malabrigo Rios. It is a 100-gram skein, and it is superwash merino, very, very squishy, hand dyed in Uruguay, and it has how many yards? 210 yards. So that is a good option. We also have another hand dyed merino worsted, which I will show you in our upcoming hat that was knit in that. So these are interchangeable, any of the merino worsted yarns. So that is the Cranberry Slouch Hat. And next up we have a real bulky weight hat. This is called Twig Hat. And I had the cutest little girl in today with her family wearing this hat. It was just so cute on her. So this one comes in children and adult sizes. I have both to show you, but I'll show you the cover of the pattern first so you can see an example of a young girl wearing it. It's got a nice little point at the top, and then the big two-color pom-pom just finishes it off perfectly. So that pattern is available on Ravelry or in store. So there is a child size and an adult size. It's knit on 8mm circular needles. Again, for the children's size you would use the 16-inch cord, and for the adult size you would use the 24-inch cord. And then of course transition to the double point needle. This one is now moving us into a 2-skein project because you've got the tree as contrast on the main color. But there is a bonus. So you can knit 2 hats with 2 balls. And can you tell why that would be correct? Just because you're using the opposite color, because you can see on the original hat, the adult size, you're hardly using any of the contrast. You're using a few yards in the pom-pom and a few yards to create the pine tree. So why not knit a second hat with the contrast as the main color, and then you're not wasting it. So the way that we work in the pine tree, you are knitting in a partial section of it, the stem, and then you're doing what's called duplicate stitch over top to create the branches. It's a good beginner level for duplicate stitch, and even if you're a bit nervous and you don't want to do the duplicate stitch, you can just use the hat pattern as a basic toque. So it would look like this, no tree, and you could still have your fun pom-pom. So that one fits nice and tight around the brim, covers the ears. It feels very warm and thick because it is a heavier weight. And then you can have the pom-pom sort of standing up to a point or flopped over at the back. The option is yours, of course. It is very Muskokan. That's the theme, the pine trees in our forest. And there are other color options if you don't want to go as natural as the oatmeal beige and the pine tree green. So the color options are in here. I thought for Christmas time the burgundy, well, cranberry burgundy with little pops of dark blue, snow white, and brown bark would go nice with this one. So you could have the main color and the pine tree in the teal with pops of lime green, and then you could reverse and do a second hat with this as the main and the pine tree in the cranberry. So that would be fun. And then we also have black with gray, which works well with the oatmeal. And then we have that warm chocolate brown, which works well with the oatmeal. And reverse for the second hat. And then there's also a nice charcoal with so many different colors in there. We've got some cranberry, some blue, some gold, and green. That would probably work well with the cranberry for a tree, an abstract tree. And it works well with the natural, very earthy, and I think it would work well too with the teal. So that's the fun thing about coming in a yarn shop, is playing with color. Putting colors together that you might not think would go together, and seeing how it all comes out in the finished product. So Twig Hat, I think we're halfway through our 12 hats. And then the next hat is, it's the Lenny Hat, yes. This one has a manufactured faux fur pom-pom. It is washable, and it is creamy white. We have the pom-poms in natural colors such as black with silver tips, brown with light brown tips, the white, and then next week we'll get a shipment with pale pink, pale gray, and some other natural tones. I put the creamy white one on here because I thought it highlighted some of the lighter tones. So I'll try it on, let you see how it fits, and then explain the yarn and the pattern. So this is a free pattern on Ravelry. It is called Lenny, L-E-N-I, and it is a really fun pattern stitch across the bottom section. The rest is all stocking stitch. It incorporates little bits of garter stitch and a slip stitch, and I think it creates pine trees, but some people say they see flying geese and some see chevrons. So I'm going to bring that up closer to the camera and you can have a look at the design feature. So little pine trees, 3 branches, or flying geese or arrowheads. And this is knit with a strand of Richard DeVries Pepino, our hand-dyed merino, fingering weight, and a strand of the fluff yarn. So for the particular hat sample there, I've used color, what's it called? It's called Pool, and it's the Shibui Silk Cloud, which is a very, very luxurious yarn, and it gives amazing drape and fabulous yardage. So you can pair it with any of the pretty speckle hand-dyed merinos called Pepino by Richard DeVries. You could pair it with a variegated, or you could pair it with a solid. I find though with the speckles, it gives it really interesting color play. So that's one option. That would bring out the greens and the blues. And this one would be very soft and tone it down. Oh, I see a parcel at the door. I'm going to be right back.
Thank you.
Okay.
Have a good weekend.
Thank you. It's always a happy Friday when a shipment arrives before the weekend. So yes, there's lots of other fluff colorways that you can use. We have a butterscotch gold, and we have it in cream, pale pink, pale blue, lavender. So that is something you can really either do some stash diving at home and see if you have a skein of fingering weight and some of the fluff, and create your own Lenny hat. Next up on our list of the 12 hats is the Woodsman Toque. This is a beginner level hat, and it is knit with a seam, and that's great for beginners who are not ready to journey onto circular needles. They would just like to go back and forth and get their tension established, and actually be good practice to learn how to sew a seam. So this one can be worn 2 ways, as a classic, what we call a watch cap or a fisherman type toque, and it's a good style for a man or a woman, and it's so stretchy it would fit a teenager or a young child. So that's the classic toque style, and then you can let the brim down and create a slouch hat. So the slouch hat, again, just a little more relaxed and more on the top. So very, very stretchy. The stretch has a lot to do with the pattern stitch. This is just a very basic knit 2, purl 2 ribbing, but it also has to do with the quality of the yarn that you use. We used our favorite chunky natural llama, which you might have seen featured in our recent knit along, and it is undyed, completely natural llama and merino. So if you have a really good quality yarn, it will give it amazing stretch and elasticity, and perfect for this pattern. So the Woodsman Toque is shown here on our model Claire, and it is knit on 5mm straight needles. It's a 1 skein project. So that's under $20 if you're on a gift budget. And And most of the hats I've shown you can be done for under $20 if it is a one skein project. Then the next hat on our list is called the Pom-Pom Hat. Obviously, because there is a faux fur pom-pom on top. This is the black mink with the silver tips in the faux fur. These pom-poms tie on. There's little threads attached, and they're quite long, so you just tie them onto the top of the hat with a bow tie. And if somebody's tired of wearing a pom-pom or wants a different color pom-pom, you untie the ties and take it off. Easy peasy. This one is also knit in the round, and it has a very simple cable repeat. So it transitions from a ribbed border into, I think it's a 6-stitch cable. So that would be great practice for a new cable knitter. One step up from the beginner level. And it comes in a medium or large size. This one is the medium size, so I'll just let you see how it fits. It's a small, tight hat. There isn't really a lot of room to pull it down or to have extra space at the top. It fits very, very close. I have one at home and I wear it a lot in the charcoal black, and I love it. So it is knit on a 6.5 circular needle with double pointed needles at the top. It takes one skein of any chunky weight yarn and one pom-pom. You would be learning how to do a cable 6 back, a cable 4 back, and an increase, knitting into the front and the back. So there's a little bit to learn on that. There's a free pattern included with your one skein of yarn if you're interested in the My Pom-Pom Hat. So colors again, any of the chunkies shown in this basket. As well, we have some pure wool chunkies, which would be okay if you know that the person takes good care of it, because they do have to be hand washed. If you're not sure of a person's care level, then it's probably safer to use a blend of wool and acrylic, and then you know if it's washed, it will not shrink. So that is My Pom-Pom Hat. Free pattern with the yarn, and we have, I think, 2 more hats. The next one is a beautiful array of colors, from denim into lilac, and it is called the Muffle Hat. We've got 3 colors in stock. The one that I've knitted up in is our bestseller, the blue lilac. This one is called Sunset. It has a bit more of the corals and the purples mixed with the blues and the greens. And then we also received a new color for the winter, and that's very, very soft greens and pale blues and pale coral and creamy yellow. It will be a 1.5 skein project because these are only 50-gram skeins of cotton and merino. It fits very, very loose, so it might fly off in a windstorm. But for somebody who just doesn't like a tight-fitting hat, I'd say it's very, very comfortable. It can be worn 3 different ways. So this has what we call a faux cable pattern. No cable needle required, but it does have very pretty twisted stitches. I'll bring it up to the camera so you can see it. And if you don't put a pom-pom on top, that will give you option number 2. Option number 2 is to wear it inside out, which creates a regular ribbed style hat. And option number 3 is just to wear it with the brim folded up in a classic toque style. The Canadian toque. You can never go wrong with that. So I'm going to bring this one up and you can see the detail of the twisted stitch and the coloring. So for anyone who is sensitive to wools, this being merino and cotton, it feels so soft, luxurious and soft. It would be safe for anyone on your list if you're doing some holiday hats. So that is a picture of the pattern. So as I mentioned, it is a 2-skein project only because they are smaller skeins. They're 50 grams. But you have an option here. If you buy 3 skeins, you can do the full set. So you can do the matching mitts with the hat. And then you've got 3 gorgeous colors to choose from. And if you're into novelty yarns, such as the faux fur trend, which is being now into the 3rd winter, believe it or not. It comes and it goes. It goes in cycles, maybe every 7 to 10 years. It goes away for a while and then it comes back again. So this is another project you can do with just 1 skein. It's very quick. You can do this in 1 to 2 hours. Large needles. The yarn is very forgiving. If your tension's not even, or you lose track of which is a knit round or a purl round, it will never show. So this has children's pattern or children's sizes as well as toddler and adult. So a 100-gram ball of any of the ones featured in the basket will make a very quick one-night project. And it feels very plush, just like a teddy bear. Some of the colors you can see have the frosted tips. They're called frozen colors. And some are tricolor, variegated. And then we have a few solid colors too. So this is a project under $15 to knit. The pattern is free with the yarn. And you can wear it. I think I'm actually putting on the child size. Yes, I am. Okay, so it's a little bit small. You can wear it straight, or you can fold back the brim. So toddler, child, or adult, it's knit on 8mm circular needles. So that is what it would look like with the brim folded back. There might be a child on your list who would just love to have something soft and fluffy. Again, it is a beginner knit if you are comfortable working in the round and if you feel that you can manage working with a textured yarn like this. You don't have to worry about sewing any seams. It is seamless. And if you prefer faux fur pom-pom, you could always go with something like this, and that would highlight the cream tips in the yarn. Okay, so now we're down to the one I was wearing at the very beginning, the little red beret. And it is another super stretchy elastic type merino that we've knitted in. And it also has the tonal shading. So it's showing a beautiful starburst at the center in the darker tones. And then it transitions to a light coral red, back to the dark, and then finishes off in the light color. You don't really have any control of how the color comes out of the skein, but chances are you'll get either the light or the dark for the starburst. You're going to get the contrast there. So we do have it in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I think 6 colors. A lot of the jewel tones. We've got that beautiful green somebody chose today for it. So you'll have 3 shades of the green, emerald. And then we have it in the turquoise blue. So this is a 1 skein project, a worsted weight, and it is hand dyed. Comes from Earth Yarns, which is one of our favorite companies. This is a pretty 3-shade tonal gray. And over here we have a very vibrant purple. So there really is a color that will match any coat or outfit. And you may know that berets have made a comeback this winter. The secret to blocking a beret is to dampen it or soak it in the Eucalan, the wool wash, and then put a plate. So you would slip a dinner plate inside, which is exactly the width of a finished beret, and let it dry that way. That will give a nice crease ridge around the outside and maintain the round shape. It will slightly stretch it to the full width that it should be. What else can I tell you about this one? We have it just in adult sizes, and you can wear it slightly to the side or let the extra width hang at the back. So Little Red Beret is knit on a 5mm and a 5.5 circular needle, double point for the very top. It has some lace elements, increases, slip stitches, knit two together, yarn over, yarn round needle, and a twisted rib. So I would say it's a little bit more advanced, but it is a quick project. You could do this in 1 or 2 nights, and you could do a variety of different colors and have a different one to cheer you up for every day of the week in the winter. This week I've learned a new word in knitting, and I just love the sound of it. I say it over and over again every day. So the word is Umschlag. Umschlag. And I heard the word mentioned by a knitting store owner in Berlin. So that gives you a clue. It's a German word. Does anyone have any idea what the word means in English? It is a knitting term, quite a common one, and I have shown you an example in at least one of the hats, one of the 12 hats today, of where it would be used. This particular knitting store is in Berlin, and they are collaborating with me for a shawl pattern which I designed, and they're going to use it as an Advent project for their knitting group. And as a special thank you, they have offered to translate the shawl pattern from English into German for me so that I can put it on Ravelry, and then we'll just have more access to more knitters around the world that can enjoy knitting it. So it'll be fun to see all their colors that they choose, and just the progress. I think what they'll do as an Advent, they'll have a section of the pattern and a certain color of yarn that they're offering each week starting December 1st, and then I guess there'll be 4 sections of the pattern that will be revealed by Christmas, and then 4 different colors, and the knitters will just get 1 clue each week to work on it. So I thought that was very exciting. So I don't think anybody has guessed what Umschlag means, so I will give it away. It's actually in this particular hat pattern, if that is helpful to you, and it's part of the lace work. And it's a word I've never heard before. It is actually referring to the yarn over. So we had a conversation with the German yarn shop, and I said, just, you know, be careful when you're translating, because sometimes European patterns translated to English lose a bit of the instruction because our abbreviations are very different, and if they're using a computer generated translation system, then it doesn't really come out the way it should. And she said, oh no, we're very careful. We're going to use Umschlag as the yarn over. So I thought, oh, that's a new word. So now you've probably learned one too. So I hope that was a great first introduction into our new series, and maybe it's provided you with some new inspiration of what you can knit for your holiday gifts. Quick, simple, 1 to 2 skein projects is what we're all about for the last month before Christmas. So enjoy your weekend, get some knitting in, some knitting time, and I will be back next Wednesday for our usual virtual yarn shopping video to show you some new things that are in the works. and I'll be back next Friday at 3 p.m. Thanks for watching.